Hello, my next level friend. Welcome to the Artist Next Level podcast. I am super excited and happy to be here with you once again. In this episode, my friend, I want to talk to you about website. Let's talk about your website. What are some of the things to think about when it comes to your website? What are you doing with your website? For example, should you have art like prices listed on your website? Should you have, prints for sale on your website, merchandise on your website, whatever it is. Let's talk about it. Let's talk about it in this episode.
Resources, inspiring interviews, business practices, and practical advice to take your art career to the next level. Join Sergio Gomez in today's Artist Next Level and get ready to take control of your career.
Well, let's talk about the artist's website. And I always say that an artist's website is really never truly finished. It's never really complete. Why? Because we are always making new work as artists. And I think, our artist website should always be changing in terms of we should always be adding new work as new work is available and ready. Now, having said that, today there are so many platforms for publishing a website that there's no excuse for any artist not to have a website. I think there are, so many great platforms. You have Squarespace, you have Wix, you have other people's pixels, you have, you also have WordPress and many more. There are many options out there on artist websites. So the question is, okay, what should I have in the website? Besides, of course, the obvious thing, which is my art. Well, here are some things that I recommend that you should have in your website based on my experience, both as an artist, also as a curator. What do I look for when I go in an artist's website? What is some of the information that sometimes I go and it's missing? So I want to talk a little bit about that. How about in terms of sales and marketing for your art? What should be there? So let's start with that. So I'm going to go maybe in the order of what you expect, what should be on an artist's website. Maybe let's start with the homepage. So when you land in an artist's website, of course, we should have your name there. The name that you use as an artist should be easily visible, whether if you're using your name or if you're using some sort of artist name, whatever you call yourself should be on your website. I suggest that in your website you have an inviting image. Instead of starting right away with your portfolio, which I've seen sometimes artists start right away with a portfolio, and you haven't quite introduced yourself just yet. Have an inviting image. I suggest an image where maybe your work is hanging on a wall, or it's on a show, or maybe you are by the work. Something that gives your work a sense of scale, a sense of placement in the world, a sense of how your work looks like in the world. Because once the person starts going to your website and your portfolio, they will see, your art in full frame. But I think it's very nice when I go into a website and you can actually have a quick sense really fast on how does the art look in the real world. And that's something that, for example, on my own website at sergiogomezonline.com, I have a one of those slider bars. So the top is a slider bar where it scrolls, so you can see my work there. You can see me in front of my work. So again, it just kind of gives it a sense of scale. And I have other things because I do other things too. I'm a curator, so I have that. I have my podcast. I have other types of things in that scroll. But in the homepage, you should have that. I believe also in the homepage, you should have your navigation easy to find, easy to navigate, both in the desktop and in mobile, which I think now is getting better. There was a time in which a lot of platforms were not that good on mobile devices. I think most of them are now, and then you don't have to do anything with it. It just happens, it just works, and so that's good. So you definitely have to have your navigation nicely visible, and right away from your website, welcome the person in. What I recommend is that make your website inviting. Welcome the person into the website. Make it inviting. A lot of artists try to make their website like if it's a like commercial gallery or some sort of gallery, and they seem cold and austere. What if you actually make them a little bit more inviting for the viewer? You know, things that you can do, for example, in the images that you pick, the choices that you make for your images, the language that you use, as a welcome. Some artists, for example, have like the elevator pitch on their website, which is great. That's fine. That's just a quick, 2 sentences that just gives the person a welcome into your world as an artist. Don't write something long in the homepage, because the homepage is just to land and go. Right? Nobody stays in the homepage for too long. They just get here, and from here they go in, and then they pick where they want to go next. Right? It's like when somebody comes into your house, they don't stay at the door for too long. They just walk in really quickly, and then they go into wherever they need to go. So same thing here. Now, what you want to do is also on your website, something that I recommend. Again, if you want to make your site more personal, and it's something I have talked about before in a lot of my webinars and with a lot of the artists that I'm coaching, is that write a story. Tell your story. I'm talking about your bio. I'm not talking about your official bio or CV, where your bio is written in the third person, like if somebody's talking about you, kind of thing. Your CV is all your list of exhibitions and awards and all your accolades, all that in the CV. But my story is kind of like that. It's your story. And this is something that I wrote, about I wrote my story written in the first person. This was about maybe 3 years ago or so, maybe more, maybe 4 years. And I took the time to write my story. And what I did is I did a test. When I first wrote it, I said, I'm going to make a test, see if actually people read it, see if actually care. A lot of people say, nobody likes to read. Nobody cares about the text that you put on your website. I, disagree with that. I think people love to read, and particularly when there's a story. People love stories. That's why we go to the movies, right? That's why we go to Netflix. We love stories, right? If people didn't like stories, then, we wouldn't have all those experiences. But people love stories. So I did actually write my story, and I put in my website in the homepage a link that says read my story. And actually, even though I have redesigned my website a number of times since I wrote my story, it's always now I have put it in my homepage as the very first link that you find. And why did I do that? Well, because in my story, I talk a little bit about me growing up. I talk a little bit about some of the struggles that I had as an artist as well, and how I had to overcome them. And then I invite the viewer, also through my story, that they also what my work's about, and that I'm happy that they're here, and I invite them to browse and connect with the rest of my work. I also invite them to sign my mailing list, and I tell them why. And so it's kind of a nice warm welcome, right? Like nice little tiny speech. It's not very long. My story itself, I don't know how many characters it has, but it has a few paragraphs, nicely written, nicely edited. And maybe it's a full page. Where will be maybe a full page on a regular Word document, right? And it is very warm. And what I have found over the years, with no exceptions, year after year, when I look at my statistics at the end of the year, my story is one of the most visited pages in my website. It's really one of the most visited pages, even more than sometimes the gallery, more sometimes that some of the other pages. Why? Because people love that. I even measured what page they go first, and I have found that a lot of people go to my story first before they even click on the artwork. So it has been tested for me, has been proven that this is a page that people love. So I've been doing it. I still, if you go to SergioGomezOnline.com, you will see my story right away when you land, a little button that says read my story. So again, whatever you want to do, you don't have to do this, but again, if you want to kind of give that more of a personalized welcome into your world, that's one way in which you can do it. Now let's talk also about the supporting documentation as an artist. For example, your bio, your CV, those should be there. And sometimes I visit artist websites that don't have that information. And as a curator, I think that's important for me. I think that's something that I look for when I'm working with artists. and I have an artist that's coming for the show, so I need some that pull that information for the press release or for things of that nature. So I think you should have that, should always be up to date, right? So that whoever's looking, they can find that information and easily accessible. Now, you don't have to wait until you have many shows, for example, to do that. If you have 2 or 3, put what you have, right? Don't be ashamed of the number of exhibitions or whatnot that you have. Put what you have and use that to your advantage. So have that in there. Now, as far as a blog from your website or a news page, it's entirely up to you. I do have one on mine where I post news and updates. Now, don't expect that because you have a blog on your website now you're gonna get a lot of traffic. It doesn't happen that way. When you make a post in your website as a blog or as a news item in your website, you still have to send traffic to it. People are just not going to assume like, oh, you have something new, so let me go check it out, or they're just waiting to see what you post new. Nobody does that. So when I make a new post, I still share it in my social medias, and that brings traffic to the website because people came to see that news or whatever I shared, and then that brings them to the website, and usually they will stay there for a while, kind of looking around, clicking around, see what's new on the site. So again, that's another way in which you can continue promoting your website, bringing people to it. And the things that you do in your blog, they don't have to be very long. So for example, one of the things that I do in my art blog here inside my website is, let's say I did a series of works, and I took pictures of the process. Many of them they ended up being on Instagram and so on. Well, what I would do is I would take that whole collection of pictures and then upload them to my website as a story, as part of the news category. I call it news. I don't call it blog on mine. I call it news. And for example, what I would do is I would take those pictures and post them, and I would say the making of, and then the name of the artwork. I would, for example, the making of Distant Poetry, a painting by Sergio Gomez. So that's the title of one of the posts, and when you click there, you will actually see in chronological order, maybe like 6 different photographs of the process on how that, and then of course you see the final artwork already finished. You'll see it in there as well. So again, it's another way, again, to continue bringing in a more organized way what you may be doing already in social media. So it's not extra work. You just grab those pictures, put them in, and then you share them. And again, the only reason you're doing that is also to, again, bring attention to the website, continue sharing those links so that people come and check it out. And also, it helps your SEO, your search engine optimization, meaning that the more text and content you add to your website, Google will look at it as fresh content. Say, oh, okay, actually somebody's in this website, and it's not just being sitting there for the last 6 months without any updates. The news part at least keeps your website with new content that could be indexed also in the web. Now let's talk about the art gallery. Where there's different ways to organizing your art gallery, and I've seen them all because I'm always looking at artist websites, and that's my job as curator as well. And there are different ways. You can organize your art all under one category, which is like a gallery, and then you have everything there. You can also organize it by kind of collections or by creating categories like painting, drawing, sculpture. Depends what you do as an artist, right? Or projects. A lot of performance artists, they do it as projects. So it's up to you. How do you do it? But organize it in some way that makes sense. In my case, for example, I have the paintings and drawings, and that's kind of like the main category because I do mostly paintings and drawings. I don't do sculpture or photography. So in there, you will find my paintings and drawings. And now besides that, I also have under the art tab some of the special projects that I have done as well, or series that I have kind of put together. I have a series, for example, I did some years ago that's called 41 Winters. So what I did with that series, is it's actually some 64 works, so that they wouldn't take a lot of space in the main gallery. What I have done is I created a special page for that series, and it's called 41 Winters series. So when you click on that, it tells you a little bit about the story of that series. You can see all the works, you can see the process, you can see some press that was written about it, some videos that I recorded about it. So it's all there, right? So as a series, as a project, it's all there. And I have done that for some others as well. I have a page for Art Studio, for example, or my live drawing performances. You organize it however you want. I have also a section for exhibition photos, which if you have some, I think it would be good to put in somewhere in there as well. So again, how your art looks, not only in the clean frame of your gallery, but also how it looks in the world. And I think people, when they see that, they can imagine that work in their home or in their gallery or in a museum or whatnot. So it kind of helps to have those visual references, how your work looks in the world. And if you don't have any right now, there are apps that you can download. You can do it in Photoshop if you want, but there are apps that you can download in your phone that create those little nice props where, shows how your art looks in a home. So again, just gives a visual on how people can understand your work better. But again, I would make that on a page of its own. Another page that I, for example, sometimes recommend artists to have is a page that's called Living with Art. Living with Art. In other words, you put pictures there of your work in homes or in corporations or in collections. I would say the real ones. On that one, I wouldn't do the props. I would do real pictures that people send you or that you take when somebody buys your work. And now you don't have any of those, that's fine, but maybe start thinking about, okay, next time I sell something, I might, go and take a picture. I might ask them if they can send me a picture. And then you can, again, people see the excitement of how your work looks on a living space. And that would be something else. Now, as far as pricing goes for your art, that's entirely up to you. Every artist is different. I don't say yes or no. Because when I work with an artist, when I'm coaching an artist on this matter, it's always about, okay, what are your goals? What are your objectives as an artist? What are you trying to do? And that determines what you will do in your website, right? How you're going to position yourself as an artist. Very important. If your goal is to make as many sales as you can the next 6 to 12 months, and you are not working with galleries right now, and you're selling direct, and you just want to keep selling direct, you want to push that, and you want to push sales on your social and everything else, well, then I recommend that you make it easy for anyone to come to your website and purchase the art. If they have to go and then look at a work that they like, they don't know if it's available, they have to go to a contact page, fill out a form, and send that to wait to see if it's, it's too many clicks, too much work. People don't do that unless they really, really, really want to take that effort, because again, you're not the only artist, you're one of thousands of artists in the world. So if your aim and your goal is to improve sales and really make that easy for anyone, then your website should reflect that, right? Should have that. Now you can do that tastefully. You don't have to have big buy now buttons in every image. You can do it in a graceful way, in a way that still looks clean and beautiful as an artist gallery without making it look like the website of Amazon or the poster shop or something like that. There are many ways you can do it. Many of the platforms that I mentioned earlier, have that feature where you can add a button that is nice and looks great, or the Inquire Now feature. If you are, for example, working with Artwork Archive, which I highly recommend, my own art, when you click on my art page, it takes you to the Artwork Archive feed, which is embedded on my website. In other words, they don't have to go to another website. It's all embedded in my website, but it's feeded directly from the Artwork Archive database. That's where I upload all my pictures, all my inventory. It shows what's available, what's not available. They can click on an image that is available, and they can click on a button that says Inquire, and they can inquire about that work, and I get it in an email, and it tells me exactly what piece they were looking at. So find out what you want to do. If you don't want to put prices on your art, maybe because you're working with a gallery, or you don't want to work for whatever reason, then still make it easy for someone to inquire about your art. That's the main thing, right? You want to do that. So that would be my advice there. And don't be afraid, of trying and testing and see if it's something you want to do. A lot of artists say, Sergio, I don't want to put sales, any type of sales in my art, because I'm waiting for the gallery to work with me and so on. Well, great, that's your choice, but at the same time, you may be waiting for years, and then you are not really being able to promote your work for sales because you are waiting to be discovered in a way, right? So you have to make those choices. Those are hard choices, but you have to make them. You have to decide, and whatever you decide, be happy with it. Try it. Why not? Now, another option that you have is to create a page that is a shop page, right? You can just create a link that's called shop, and in the shop page you have works that are available, or you can call it available works, whatever you want to call it, but it's a page that's outside of your main gallery. If you don't want to put any type of sales things in your gallery and just keep it nice, clean, and just as a gallery, then you can have this shop page where people can come and shop. If you have prints, if you have reproductions of any kind, any merchandising of any kind, that could all be there in the shop page. And it's a great way, again, for you to promote sales. And it's a page that, because it's its own link, you can always take it down really quickly if you need to, right? If you are being reviewed by a gallery, you don't want to have that, you can always take that page down, and that's it. If the gallery picks you up, then you don't want to have that. Again, it's entirely up to you. It just gives you that quick leverage of doing that. That's an option. So these are all just options and ideas. Anyway, so that's it as far as your art and the sales mechanisms within your website. At the same time, another thing that related to marketing that I think every website of an artist should have is a way to, very easy to sign up for your mailing list. As easy way to sign up for your mailing list. In my page, there's a sign up now, get exclusive offers, invites, and more at the top. There's a yellow bar at the top of my website where you can just put your email and subscribe to it. It works. People do subscribe to it, and not a lot of people, but that's okay. I don't want a lot of people. I just want the right people. So those who really like my work, who really want to get updates and invites and offers, that's who the people who sign up, and that's okay. It's not about the numbers. It's about the quality of the lead. So, but if you have nothing there, if you have no way, or people have to go to the contact page to find a really small link somewhere that says, join my mailing list, don't expect people that are signing up. And you also have to say, what they will get. So, for example, on mine, I say get exclusive offers, invites, and more. And make sure if you do that that's what you do with the email. I use MailChimp, and in my MailChimp, when somebody clicks on that subscribe button, there are 3 emails that they will get in the next few days. They will get a welcome email. Then 2 days later, they will get another email introducing them a little bit more in depth to my work. And then after a couple of days more, they will get another email, and then it will just tell them, okay, now after this, you just get probably 1 email a month or so. That's an update. So again, it's a great way to kind of warm up the lead and welcome them into my website. And MailChimp does it automatically. I don't have to worry about it. They sign up, and MailChimp sends those emails, and that's it. Super cool. And my friends, again, those are just some of the highlights that I would like to mention in this particular podcast. Things that I think as an artist you should have. Now, of course, your contact page and some of the videos if you want, your press, those things. I think you as your career grows, you continue growing that. Come and check out my website. Go to SergioGomezOnline.com if you want to see it, and see how mine is structured. If you want to see what I've been doing with mine, and see if that gives you some ideas for yours. But try and test, and look at the analytics and see what's working for you, and depends on the goals that you have as an artist. So I hope this episode has been helpful for you on artist websites. Hope this has been helpful. This is kind of what I do inside the Art Next Level Academy, which is where I coach artists, helping artists grow their art career, take it to the next level. If that's you, if you need some help, if you would like to work with me and get your art career to the next level, all you have to do, my friend, is just reach out to me. You can reach out to me through Instagram if you want, Messenger. Go to Sergio Gomez Art. That's on Instagram. Just send me a message and say, hey, Sergio, I listened to your podcast and websites. How can I work with you? And I'll be happy to give you more information. You can also send me an email at jess@takethenextlevel.com. Again, jess@takethenextlevel.com. Or find me also on Facebook if you want, or LinkedIn. You can find me just about everywhere. So check that out, my friends. Thank you so much for listening to this podcast. Share it with your friends, and I will see you at the next level.
Check out our website at www.theartistnextlevel.com, where you will find our podcast library, learn about our upcoming webinars, find resources relevant to your career, and much more. Thanks for listening to today's podcast, and we'll see you at the next level.